cop, a police officer, okay, put him up full mask, decides to force girls to send him explicit images. Lewis Edwards is a UK police officer who blackmailed and threatened an underage girl to send him explicit photos of themselves on Snapchat. He's been jailed for life. Did you hear what I said? Life. Edwards, who reportedly groomed more than 200 girls online, had 4,500 indecent images of underage individuals, admitted to 160 counts of child sexual abuse and blackmail. The South Wales police officer messaged 210 girls aged 10 to 16. Did you hear me? 10 to 16. From November 2020 until February 2023. And images of 207 of them were found on his device. Edwards, who refused to go to Cardiff Crown Court throughout his 3-day sentencing hearing, joined the force as a police constable in January 2021. But obviously is now barred from policing. Handing him multiple concurrent prison sentences, including several life sentences with a minimum of 12 years, Judge Tracy Lloyd Clark said, quote, "It is clear that he not only gained sexual gratification from his offending, but he also enjoyed the power and control he had over these young girls," end quote. Edwards will also be subject to an indefinite sexual harm prevention order, barring him from working with children or vulnerable people and requiring him to keep his personal details logged with police. She described his behavior as cruel and sadistic and psychologically manipulative, adding that he posed a high risk of danger to children. So Edwards, this cop, used a profile picture of a teenage child, okay, to try to trick his victims into sending images to that image, all right? With one saying during video calls, Edwards would sit in the dark, showing only part of his actual face. When the victims tried to ignore his demands, he threatened to share the images he already had, all right? So this was his MO. Or said he would hurt their family, another part of his MO. Edwards installed a legitimate application which allowed him to record images sent to him by the girls on Snapchat without their knowledge. Prosecutor Roger Griffiths said Edwards received images from girls while on duty at least 30 times, could be more. Judge Lloyd Clark said Edwards' crimes were significantly aggravated by the fact he was a police officer. Boom. That's in the UK. We do totally opposite here in America. We let him off easier, not harder. She added, quote, "There is no doubt that his actions have caused significant harm to the reputation of South Wales police and police in general," end quote. So let me give you the investigation. South Wales police said its investigation into the case began in December 2022 when the force was made aware of suspicious online banking activity linked to the downloading of indecent images of children from the dark web. Officers linked an IP address to Edwards' address, and after his home was searched, victims were identified through Snapchat username, despite Edwards refusing to provide PIN codes to 2 of his devices. South Wales Police Assistant Chief Constable Daniel Richards said Edwards' crimes were, quote, "despicable." As soon as we knew the offender was a serving police officer, Edwards was suspended and sacked. He also said that vetting of Edwards at the time of him joining the force did not indicate anything to suggest the abhorrent offenses. He found one victim through his police work. Lucy Dowdle of the Crown Prosecution Service said Edwards targeted vulnerable children and ruined their lives. Just one victim was found by Edwards directly through his role as a police officer, whom he messaged after responding to a 999 call and noting, her as a vulnerable girl in his paperwork. And so he took advantage of that vulnerability. One of the saddest stories in the world, naturally. Very difficult to imagine the extreme harm this cop did to the psychology of these impressionable children. All right, Jackson, thoughts here?
Well, one thing's for sure, if he's in any type of regular prison, any type of gym pop at all, they're gonna kill him. That is going to happen. But clearly this guy was created a world for himself where nothing existed other than him and his sick addiction that clearly got worse and worse. He didn't join the force and do it this heavily right away. He got really comfortable. And unfortunately for everybody who was one of his victims, it was an addiction that he had absolutely no control over. Because it's just disgusting, So good thing that he was caught, and he's not going to get much sympathy from anybody. But that was by his own hand. So
that's right. I mean, completely self-inflicted every single time, and some of the most egregious things a man or person, period, can commit.